He said, "Ooh, I like fun."
Okay, I think we're up. I think we're up on all channels. Give me the go ahead when
You
we're
are
back
good on
on.
YouTube.
We're good
You're
on
good on
YouTube. We're
YouTube.
coming up.
Yep. Good on
Okay.
YouTube, good on Twitch.
Great, wonderful. Sorry and apologies to everyone. I don't know where we cut out, but yes, let us just keep going. They'll get here when they get here. The super chats, I will find them and I will read them right now. In fact, give me 1 second while since we have a moment, right? Since we have a moment that we just got through, let me get to the super chats. There they are. See all? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. We're gonna get it. Okay, here we go. Here it is. $2 from Testicle Johnson. My mom says I'm a high value man. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate it.
Well,
$10 from
it's true.
Psychonaut. Men from a young age are taught how to treat women, but they have to first grow up with girls. And they don't want that guy at those young ages. So by the time we get of age, we feel jaded. Thank you for the $10. Okay, and with that, let's get back into the discussion. Continue, please.
Yeah, I think the thing that
Okay.
I want to clarify. I apologize, Parallax, but I think the thing that is interesting and important is that we keep on trying to argue with like Sneeko and Andrew Tate and Fresh and Fit. We need to kind of bring it down to talking to Xerxes and cohort, right? And try to understand how we relate to the manosphere, how it's important to us. Now, if you want to talk about like the trickle down effect of like how these bigger creators can affect the smaller creators, we can definitely do that. But their ideals are their ideals, right? And I'm
No,
not here to defend them. So
like just blanket no. The panel topic is not Xerxes and cohort. It is quite literally discussing the manosphere.
I
So
think
like,
I think
misunderstood.
if he's
so
saying
I think the
engage
phrasing.
with,
You have a fundamental
if
misunderstanding.
hold on, if he's saying he wants us to like engage more directly with the arguments coming from the two
Right.
of you and not the
Right.
that's fine. I feel that's
Yeah.
been done here, to be clear.
Well, no, there's been several
I
straw
don't think
mans.
so
There's
at
been
all.
several straw
Exactly.
There's been moments when I brought up the high value thing. Maeve assumed that what I meant is that like high value is the ultimate standard. All I was saying is that I didn't even say I said that I had a high value standard. I said Kevin Samuels had a clear high value standard for men and women, like what that means for them, and all. That's all I was saying. I never said that.
Yeah, but I debated that.
Yeah. Now
Right,
let me
you
let me
implied that
connect
was a
that.
good
Now let
thing.
me
You implied
connect
that.
that
No, I'm
point
not gonna let
so
you.
we
Let
can
someone else
explain
talk.
It was
the
it was a
metaphor.
part of
This is important.
what I said was a part of a larger point that I was making. It was not meant to be taken as now he's extolling the virtues of the high value standard. What I was trying to say, because I also don't think it's perfect, right? I think Kevin was a great creator, and I think he helped a lot. And I know he helped a lot of people by giving them the one-on-one coaching that he did, both paid and unpaid. But the standard of high value or low value is not like any other ranking system or whatever. Even like you said, the nature of ranking inherent to it is going to be disappointment, misfortune, right? No question about that. It is not a perfect standard. I would not raise my son, like I wouldn't tell my 5-year-old son, bro, you're low value right now, but one day you might be high. Like that's not how I would.
So let me land the plane of what I'm saying, right? So as you saw, we don't even fully agree with the high value male system. And what I was explaining to Maeve, before we got disconnected, was one, why I don't agree with it. However, that there's a practical application to it. And that practical application is that when we enter this dating market, unfortunately, there's a list of demands that people ask for each other, and that is the measure of high and low value. I don't like it, but that is what the manosphere is trying to address: is how do we relate and understand those dynamics? That's how we bring it all together. And the reason why I say this, and be my last point, is you have to address what we believe and what we're saying currently. We can't just keep bringing up Kevin Samuels and Sneakos and Andrew Tate, because I don't know everything. I don't agree with everything.
I don't know your whole
But I'm
ideology.
here.
It's
But
the
the thing is,
manosphere,
Maeve,
I
my
know.
point is, Maeve, I'm here. You can ask me. That's the point. We're here.
It's
We're
the
here right
manosphere.
now.
Okay.
Hold on.
Parallax have been
May
trying
I
to get in.
just-
We got to give it to Parallax. And $2 from B-Man Scout to say dating is not a marketplace. Stop the propaganda. Thank you for the $2. Okay, Parallax, you're up. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
So a couple of things. We have absolutely engaged with the things that you guys are saying. You may not like all of the engagement, but we have absolutely engaged with the things that you guys are saying. The references to Kevin Samuels and Sneeko keep occurring because they're being referred to. So the direct question was asked, name a good creator in the Manosphere, and the answer was Kevin Samuels, and there was
Well, I
pushback
said
on some of the
Alexander
things.
Grace.
Okay, great. It was asked of cohort.
It was
So
asked
he
of
said
both of us.
Kevin.
I
He
gave you
said
the
Kevin.
answer.
Great. So we were replying to what he said when we're referring to Kevin Samuels, when we're referring to the valuation of men. And while he may not agree with that or not like that or think that it's a good system, he didn't articulate that when saying Kevin
I
Samuels was.
didn't, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to hold your feet to the fire with that. I'm just saying, like, that's new information to us, right? So we're going to combat the ideas of Kevin Samuels, and I would argue that the easiest way to combat Kevin Samuels is actually what Maeve said. Like, I don't think that you can sweep away how bad Pearl is and how much bad she does, and the fact that she's a direct offshoot of him.
See,
But my
I
question for
disagree
you,
with the bad
cohort,
Pearl does, though.
is actually a fundamental one to this conversation. So I think that you've been pretty reasonable for the most part, but we've talked about how there's like obviously different, like the Manosphere is, as we talked about earlier, like a loosely tied thought, a group of different schools of thought, right? So do you see the just like the broad distance between you and the other person in the Manosphere on just this panel, and why it's kind of hard to pin down the Manosphere and have this conversation in the way that we have, because there's two very different sides of it being represented just in this
That's
conversation.
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I will say, because I've had like a lot of conversations with Xerxes. We're very good friends. So like I know for a fact that there isn't a huge gap. I know that we articulate differently, and we might have some views. Maybe you could say they're different, but I feel like for the
Look,
most
we're
part,
brothers, man. We argue.
yeah,
This is the
we're
Manosphere.
pretty
You know what I mean? Go ahead. I'm
consistent.
sorry.
I think what it is, is so for me, again, I look at the Manosphere. It's very holistic for me, and also, mind you, I don't have like a catalog of videos. Xerxes has been a YouTuber for a very long time. I don't have a catalog of videos for you to go through to where you might have the same criticisms of me because of how much information is out there for you to criticize. I think we agree on a lot of fundamentals. Me and him. I have a very holistic view of the Manosphere because I've taken part in all the parts of it, and I was in, like, watching it and talking to people and on Discord and whatever forums for a pretty long time, right? So when I think of it, obviously I'm here arguing for its virtues, so obviously there's gonna be a bias. I know all the good parts, and I think for a lot of other people, when they think of the Manosphere, the first thing they think of is Sneeko, Pearl,
And on
anger, resentment.
And on that, how much of that, and just to be frank, well, how much of that is your fault, Parallax? Because
that
it's super easy to take the Tates, the Fresh and Fits, the Sneekos, and dunk on them all day on social media to talk about how extreme they are. And so when someone thinks of a Manosphere, that's all they're thinking of. Why? Because that's all we are talking about. That's the only thing we talk about. So the reason why no one is talking about the quote-unquote good Manosphere, if such a thing exists, just for the sake of argument, let's say that it does, isn't that partially you and Maeve's fault?
No, and I challenge
No?
you to go to your own Twitter and then go to mine and see which one of us has engaged with the Manosphere more.
But I'm not here. I'm not here.
No, you said
to
you,
fight
Parallax.
the
I'm telling you right now, the answer is
Manosphere,
no. I feel no responsibility for it
What
at
about you,
all.
Maeve?
None.
Work in schools. I work for people who need help. I've talked to parents who basically have sons who are like close to being expelled. I work in the ground. I was not like a general fan of just hanging out online until I had to for my work because I had to figure out what these kids were doing and why they were in sudden detentions. I was in groups of kids of 30 where they were all chanting Andrew Tate slogans at me and being like, "What color is your Bugatti, miss?" And it took me an hour to get them to even just calm down and to be like, "Hey, maybe some things that you're saying are gonna get you expelled and in trouble." We've had to
So,
do this.
may
That's
I
why I
may I
know
ask you a
that these are
question?
the people that are worth talking about.
May I ask you a
Can I get
question?
one
Understand.
sentence and then you can ask your question? Just one sentence. Just for perspective, cohort, I have consumed neither of your YouTube content. Every bit of my vibe of you guys is from this conversation. So
Okay, cool.
I get the
That's
vibe
your
that you're very
sentence.
far apart.
Xerxes, go ahead, ask your question.
Well, I guess from him saying that I have two questions, unfortunately. But my first question will be to Maeve. And that question is, when you speak to these young men, do they explain to you why they resonate with Andrew Tate, Sneeko, and all the like? What do they tell
Because they're
you is
cool.
the reason?
because they're like, hey, look at my Bugatti. I'm a GTA character and you're 14. You want to be like me? You're
Mm.
poor.
So it's like
That's it.
Spider-Man, right? It's just like Captain America to
Yeah.
them.
He's Captain America. And he's the
So
worst Captain America we've ever
so
had.
so this is the
It's
thing
worse
though,
than
right?
every Marvel movie.
And let's go through this, right? Because if these boys are relating to Andrew Tate as like a character or something, right? Why would you take this as like a serious point of view they're gonna take through their life? If this is just some TV show or just some TV star that they see.
Ah, interesting. Have you ever heard of crypto fascism? Basically, you get people in through humor and you get them engaged in your ideas. If he's cool and he says this about women, I think he's kind of cool and right. So you
Mhm.
follow him. It's like how the whole like don't take drugs, kids, but like the whole cool guy gave me his heroin back in the 80s. Like people
Mhm.
copy and then they emulate, and then suddenly they're telling their like female teachers, "You can't talk to me that way. I'm
But
the man."
then, but that's the thing that I find interesting. If this is such negative behavior that will not yield them positive results, wouldn't life teach them just do the act of existence, just do meeting you, that this is not the way to go? Wouldn't that type of
Because kids
belligerent
listen to
behavior
their
be?
parents.
Well, yeah, they do.
Yeah,
The vast
because
majority of
that
kids
worked
listen
when
to
there
their
was a
parents.
heroin epidemic or a crack
But
cocaine
that,
epidemic or
but here's
any
the
type
thing,
of
though,
big
Maeve.
drug came in. You just had to be like, don't do it. But like
But
that
Maeve,
doesn't work. What works is like this cool charisma, this cult leader who comes in and is like, I know the way, kids. Don't listen to your teachers. They don't know. They don't care about
but
men.
okay, but here's the
How are
thing
you
though, man,
supposed to
because
beat
I
that?
was I was I was a substitute teacher back in the day, right? And what was interesting is what I learned about a lot of kids is that overwhelmingly a lot of kids move along to get along, right? Like they actually aren't trying to be rambunctious. It's only like the one, the two, the three in
Yeah,
my
they're
experience, maybe four, right? So the reason why I challenge this is because through my experience of talking to a lot of different kids, I've learned a couple of different things. I've learned that if you level with them, you can really change their perspective. If you kind of empathize with them, you can really see growth in them. And I experienced that with a couple of different students. The thing that I also find really interesting, right, is that again, the kids who behave like that meet the consequences of existence, right? So
great.
the
So I'm
reason
supposed
why
to
the reason
level
why I
with
want
them,
to
and they
challenge
go
this,
home and they
right?
watch your
hmm
video on honor and
hmm
virtue and why women don't
hmm
care about honor and virtue.
Exactly.
Why are
Right?
you
Yeah.
undoing what I'm doing?
No, but that's not undoing
And
at
you're a
all,
cooler
actually.
person.
And
Like
this
you're
is
a
the thing.
cooler, you're a guy in your mid-20s, you're
I
well
guess
built.
Hold
I
on,
don't
I
know
will
about
People,
not
they're
allow.
gonna listen
Hey,
to
You're
you.
stop,
lazy?
stop, stop!
Oh
I will
man,
not allow
hold on.
misinformation on my panel. Calling Xerxes cool is a
Misinformation.
bridge
Wait,
too
hold
far.
on,
Okay,
Yeah,
and I love
hold
you,
on,
that's
bro.
Xerxes.
Let
It's a
her
joke.
glaze,
I'm
Miss
not
Hey,
Maeve.
I
gonna
can't
I'll
beat
eat
that.
it. I'll eat it.
I can't beat that.
But
I can't
yeah, it's
beat that.
almost
So
like the
here's
if
the
you
bad
thing.
guy
tell them
Here's
aesthetic
the
works
something,
thing.
on
they're
guys
gonna
and
listen
girls.
to you.
But this is what's
Yeah,
ironic though, Maeve, because the aesthetic I literally say in my videos is that I'm an anime character, right? And it's goofy. I literally have my friend draw me
which is
cartoons,
cool.
which is all cool. But
Everyone
it's a
likes anime.
hero, right? It's a man that's trying to battle the forces of evil, right? Andrew Tate is, as you're putting it, like the villain. He's the bad guy.
Can I?
The
Can I?
thing and the
I
reason
really
why
want to. I
I'm
really
gonna
want to
wrap
jump
up.
in too. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm gonna wrap up here with this. And the reason why I wanted to go through this, right, is because what I've noticed is for as much as there might be a negative influence for some young men, what I've seen just even through my own channel and through being a substitute teacher, you can level with young men, you can talk to them, and you can see they want to be good and they want to do good. So you're
Yeah.
experiencing the negative, and I understand that, but I also don't know if I can give the ghost that Andrew Tate's rhetoric or Andrew Tate's message that is literally antithetical, antisocial, is what's going to win the day when these men are facing the negative consequences of their action. Wouldn't that correct
Oh,
itself?
because the Matrix is out to get you. And by the way, everyone's a feminist Nazi. That's the answer. Like they're going to
Mm.
be happy if as long as they feel emboldened. That's why Sneako's like, don't go to college, guys. It's a trap. They're all feminists. They're all gonna take you in. Just be an entrepreneur like me and join my Ponzi scam. Like kids are like even 18-year-olds. I've spoken to 18-year-olds who should be smarter than this, who are just like, yeah, college is a trap because they're all feminists and they're all gonna teach me how to be a pussy. And it's like, oh my God, you're gonna ruin your life because
So
you watch too many Sneako videos at
What do we
16? Are you serious?
what do we think the Xerxes to Sneeko pipeline looks like?
it stops with me.
Yeah?
No,
Well,
seriously, it does.
everybody's
It starts with me, right? Like you don't get to my video and then be like, oh, I hate women. I regularly talk about how much I like women.
Right, but
Regularly.
that's
Okay, you like women?
you realize
Name the
yeah,
top
that's
3 women qualities right now. Go ahead,
Huh?
Xerxes. The top
Name a
3.
woman.
Kindness.
Name a
Name a
woman.
woman.
name a
Brittany
woman.
Renner. Is that? I mean, that's easy, right? You just
Okay.
a woman, Michelle
Don't
Obama,
okay.
right?
Don't listen to
No,
their
but
trolling.
so
Concentrate on
top three qualities for a woman is gonna be, I say, kindness, selflessness, and intelligence. I think those are
not what that you want in
fantastic.
women, but that you think
That I
women as
want.
overall portray.
Mhm.
What are the top 3 things about women in general?
I
Just in
think
general.
I think in general, in my generation, you mean like in relation to like dating or just like in
In
life?
general,
Because it's
the
kind
answer
of,
is up to you.
I don't know, man. Because you can have as much as you can have like
3
nurturing. You can
general
have
good
So
selfish.
qualities of
speaks
women.
Oh, good. So
volumes.
so give me something, right? Give me a direction.
Okay, I can give you 3
Mhm.
examples that I would
Things that
say
are
about
good.
women in general that
He
I
didn't
think.
ask for good. He said two quality. They were neutral. I don't know if you're good or bad. You tell
No,
me.
okay. I'm asking you, what are your 3 favorite? If you had to
Favorite,
pick 3 positive qualities that women in general
positive.
exude, what would they be?
Mhm,
For me, right? I think
mhm,
in general, we're not speaking like about all women. Obviously, we know exceptions here, but I think
mhm.
women are good listeners. I think women are generally willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, and I think women in general are very nurturing,
Mhm.
just
So
over
I
nature.
would have said
Yeah.
nurturing, but definitely empathetic is one that I've experienced. There's a lot of women
Okay.
in my life who've definitely been patient and tried to understand me. I mean, I think accepting is another thing as well. I've noticed a lot of women they can give you some grace sometimes. If you're a good friend with them, they'll give you grace and say, "Okay, I'm not going to judge you at the moment. Let me listen to you. Let me see what's going on there." I think that's a excellent trait some women have.
I
Yeah,
forgot boobs.
I
I
really want
never
to hop
forgot
in.
boobs, but we're not talking about boobs today. That's
Can,
tomorrow's
can,
show.
can,
Anyway,
No,
can I hop
we're
in?
no, but
They're quality
Can I hop
number
in?
4.
point
but
number four, their
Yeah.
butts. I don't know, like what.
but no,
That's
No,
how
you
much of a
missed.
misogynist
hold
I
on.
am.
Here's
Ryan,
the
you
thing, right? The reason I asked that question, right, is because uh, it's an honest question, and
Mhm,
the topic is the manosphere, and the accusation leveled against the manosphere is how negatively it portrays women.
mhm.
And so one of the things I'd like to hear from the people who are in the manosphere and
Can I speak to
who,
that?
yeah, in a moment, let me finish,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
who are positive about the manosphere are qualities that, since you're saying that that's not true, okay, then what are some good qualities about women that I think, and you
Hi,
answered to your credit. I'd
can
like to hear
I
Cohort's answer,
respond?
but I will
Yeah,
let
yeah,
you, but after Cohort's answer, you can
Yeah, because I
interrogate
do
it
need
or
to speak
whatever.
to
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
aspect of the
yeah.
I wonder
manosphere.
if cohort will have as much trouble.
Did I have trouble? No, hold on.
Oh,
No,
oh
no,
wait,
no, no,
did you want me to
no,
do you want me to
no.
do the list
No,
the
you
Wait,
listing
wait,
can't.
wait.
You
again?
can't be snide like that. Did I have trouble?
Oh, I sure
Did I
can.
not ask for
I sure
clarification and then
can.
gave three
Wait,
different things?
wait,
No,
Go
let's
ahead,
challenge
cohort.
that. Let's challenge that. You said
yeah.
trouble. You literally were in
Yeah,
the call with me
you
where
genuinely
we
just struggled
clarified,
to
and
name
I
3
gave you
positive
three.
qualities about women. He literally said, "Name your 3 favorite positive qualities about women," and you tripped over
So, chat.
yourself
Here's what's
trying
interesting,
to
chat. You can literally
overqualify the
chat.
question when
Chat.
it was
You can literally watch.
straightforward.
You can chat. You can literally watch. The first time I answered that question, I gave three qualities, and then Witt came to clarify. Then we had that clarification. He did clarify, and once again, I gave three qualities. You can watch it
You know,
back.
chat
Miss
saw it,
me.
right? You know,
Miss me.
chat saw it, right? Yeah, I
Exactly.
The
didn't miss you. It was a
viewers,
direct
Exactly.
fucking
hold
hit.
on.
It was a
Hey,
direct
That's
hey,
hit.
hey,
crazy.
I
hey,
saw
hey,
your
hey,
That's
hey.
reaction,
crazy.
dog.
That's
We
what's
got
crazy.
to get
That's what's
past this.
crazy.
The viewers can decide on themselves, by themselves. They all saw it. They can make their decision. Cohort, I'd like to hear your answer, then we can discuss it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
absolutely.
direct hit.
So before I do the listing, I had a thing I wanted to say about Andrew Tate. Should I do the listing first, and then we can go back to that?
Do the Andrew Tate and then end with your the list of 3 qualities.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. I just wanted to say, so Andrew Tate is a caricature of unironic toxic masculinity. He is a power fantasy. He is not representative of the male spirit of getting to a certain age and thinking, how do I go out in the world and be all I can be? He's an example of how do I go out in the world and take what I want and be rich enough and strong enough that no one can take it back. When I walk in a room, everyone's like, "Whoa, who's that guy? Is the money in the car?" That is something that appeals to teenage boys. So I'm not surprised teenage boys are being captivated by that. And I'm fully aware that at some point Andrew Tate was like the most famous person Googled or whatever. I understand why that happened, right? I think it's funny when we talk about these topics, the manosphere, right? Andrew Tate, which I'm not gonna say Andrew Tate isn't manosphere because I think that'd be unfair, but the way he's positioned himself and what he's done with his fame is so different, I think, from what somebody who is just a YouTuber is doing. Like Andrew Tate is doing a very specific, and he also was involved in. I don't even think it's alleged at this point human trafficking. It's just he's a different person. I think it's unfair to compare him to say him and Xerxes are in the same league at all. I think is ridiculous. But
I
I
don't
wanted to
think he
point.
did that.
I did
No, no, no,
Sneeko,
no,
not
no,
Andrew.
no. I'm saying like, sorry, some said leak. To say that they're sharing a space and delivering information that all in any regard similar. I don't even think that's fair because Xerxes
No one
doing
did that.
What do you?
When I say social commentary, I mean let the record show.
No,
I made
no.
a whole video against Andrew Tate.
I agree.
Yeah.
I did that. I
I,
did
No,
that.
yeah,
yeah,
so
you
but
did.
Maeve,
Okay.
So I
yeah.
know what I'm confronting, right? So what I'm saying is,
My fault.
Andrew Tate is not he is a problem, but he is not representative of what I think initially initially gets young men involved into asking these questions and what keeps them asking the questions. I think what happens is people look at him, he's well built, he's a kickboxer, he has money, he's super confident, which is important no matter what sex you are. Being confident is something that it's very like eye-catching when you see somebody who even if they're saying something stupid but they're confident about it, it's like, well, he seems to believe it. So like, so he has all that going for him, and he's rich and blah blah blah. So it's like, yeah. I want to point that out because I think it's a mistake to think that young men when the order of operations gets messed up, which is that young men go into the world, they discover the manosphere teaches them that women are bad, then they discover Andrew Tate and he becomes their hero. I don't think that's exactly what's happening. I think that they're just young and hopped up on the idea that if they do what he did, they'll get the fast car and they'll get the mansion and they'll get this and that. And I think that is a very normal thing for a 13-year-old to want, right? And it's our job as people that are older to make sure, and you're already doing it, which I commend you for. It's our job to be able to say, hey, buddy, it's cool that you have dreams and you want to make money, and those can all be positive things and can lead to self-actualization. But let's talk about Andrew Tate in full. Let's talk about his character, what he's done, and whether or not he's truly a role model. So I just wanted to say that. And then so
Great.
my,
Yeah.
my list for like what I appreciate from women is very similar to Wick's. I have a sister, for example, and she's always been the kind of nurturing and warm that you don't get from guy friends, right? Your guy friends can look out for you, but there's a difference between a guy friend having your back and what that comes with, and what a woman does. And I always, whenever I think of like positive female role models or women that who's like their relationship has kind of shaped my life, it's my mom and my sister, and they have that quality. So that's the first one that comes up. Is you can call it femininity, warmness, nurturing, whatever. It's what I always hope I'll be able to find in a wife. It's what I would want my daughter to have growing up. Blah blah blah. The good listener thing, I agree with that as well. The cool thing about women is when you give them your problems, their first thought is not always to provide a solution, but that's what we do as men typically, right? You come and you tell us, hey, my car was making a noise, and we're immediately like, what kind of noise? Where do you think it was coming from? And sometimes they'll listen to you, right? Which is good because sometimes you need that. You just need to be listened to. You don't necessarily want someone to break apart the issue and like try to fix it immediately. And I think the other thing is, and this is kind of hard, it's kind of like nebulous, I don't know. They motivate me to be better, right? Which is why I look at somebody like
You just call him a
and
muse,
yeah,
inspiration.
you can say muse. Yeah, you can say muse. They motivate me to be better, stronger, more capable because all the women in my life that I've met that I valued, I wanted to be able to protect and provide for, right? And in order to do that, I have to be the best version of myself because I can't take care of somebody else if I don't take care of me. So women are a huge part of my motivation. Like my family members, the women that I'll come to marry, hopefully one day, like they're going to be and are a huge part of what drives me. So that's what I would say.
So I gotta hit the buzzer, and I gotta clear up something. One, I want let the record show that I have a word for an inspirational woman that makes you want to be better. I say muse, right? So to give to you, Maeve, I do think positively of women, and that would be the term that I would use to point to that, right? And the reason why I need to say that is because what you guys, you and Parallax, are interacting with the manosphere are men criticizing young ladies, right? It's men trying to figure out how do they even, let's just even go as far as try to get box from young ladies, right? Try to have sex with them, right? Like you're interacting with those mind games, and you're interacting with the criticism. But I think what's an interesting or important to kind of relate to and first start with is where are those criticisms coming from? I think you guys will project that it is just simply resentment and or misogyny, that they just hate women. But what I would ask is, do you guys think, just this just to get a basis for this conversation, do you think that young women can do awful or wrong things to young men while
We've
trying to
passed
date?
this before.
Yeah, we
We've
already did
already
this.
been
Of
through.
course.
Also, what's really funny is
Well,
like I
they
only
answer it
hate
again.
women. I see them as the muse of my life, like Penelope, and I am Homer, or I
Yeah,
am
that's
Odysseus coming
super.
home after my long heroic journey to my wife who is waiting for me,
Mhm.
and she is
So
completely
you've answered
civil,
it
or
before,
well,
but can
was
you answer it
chaste.
again?
That
You
Yes,
answered
isn't
we
that
before.
both
isn't
acknowledge that that
equal
can
Mhm.
happen.
respect. You are
So
positioning women as the bastion of purity in order to fight your heroic journey to get me.
okay,
That's why you're
Who
upset.
hurt you
That's why
at
you're feeling
16, dog?
resentment.
okay.
Cohort, you have a really nice, respectful understanding of women. You have a potentially a little bit of a protective vibe, which maybe I personally don't feed into, but I also understand so many people do. And actually, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't need a man to protect me. That sounds really like, oh my God, she doesn't need a man. But I've dated guys who I definitely could have protected them in terms of physical and other reasons, but that doesn't bother me. I would date, the thin guys who are the 1975 singer
I
Matty
mean, maybe
Healy.
so, but
You
you're
could
going
push
off
him
the
over with
beaten
a
path.
piece of wind. What
But you're
I'm
going off the
saying is
beaten path.
your idea of women
Mhm.
is positioned as beautiful, chaste, pure, virginal Penelope
Let
waiting
me
for you at the
just give
end of
that
the
to you. I'm
River
not even going to
Styx.
dispute
That
that.
is
Can
not
you answer
women.
the question again? Right? Answer
That
the
I'm not
question
going to
again.
dispute
Do
that.
you
You should,
think
dog. You should.
that young women can do terrible things to young men?
Oh
Why did you go
my.
from talking about how you see
Do
women to just asking this
do you
question? That's a
think
non sequitur.
that young women can
Yes,
do
of
that?
course.
So the answer is yes.
We've murdered
Why?
people. Of
So
course we
why?
can.
So here's the final question. Why can't young
Yes.
men have a space where they discuss that?
No, they absolutely can. My problem isn't having space. That's why we have very little problems with what Cora is saying. Our problem is what you're saying potentially, and the
Which is
manosphere in
what?
general.
What am I
Peddling
saying?
resentment. Peddling resentment.
Where?
That isn't space to talk about your feelings. That's space to talk about how
Okay,
angry you
that's
are.
what you're saying I'm doing, and I'm asking you where.
Is it because
In
of
your
all the
video about how women
criticism
don't
on
care
his?
about honor and virtue, about how women don't have too many body counts or whatever, all of this peddling. I haven't seen one
Well,
video of
hold
yours
on. No,
that
no,
is
no,
like
no.
a
So let
woman
me
that you
correct
would
you.
like to date. I don't even
So
know
hold
what
on.
kind of woman you would like to
So hold
date.
on. So let me correct you on that because you mentioned the video about body count. The video I made about body count is very interesting because what I was actually suggesting was that the body count number is not what's important, it's the indication. And that indication can actually be found in multiple different traits
Who
in a woman.
cares? You've
So
never
no,
made a video
I'll
about
tell you
how a
why
girl should you want to
we
date is
care.
like.
I'll tell you why we care, right? And then I can even explain why I never made that video, right?
Oh,
The
we're gonna
reason
get this.
why when you say who cares, the answer is the young men in the manosphere cares. Why? Because we have to challenge the idea that we can just only look at body count. We can only look at the sexual chase ideals without looking at the character of young women generally. The same thing, the same reason why I made the honor and virtue video. We're talking about character. We're talking about the things that make a relationship last for a period of time, a long period of time. So what we
This
need
is
to
not.
analyze and we need to dispel, right, is the idea that young women, right, only make the best or only make the right choices, and that they don't do or they don't slight young men, and that there is not a
You're
push and
fighting
pull, a cycle
ghosts.
going on
Yeah,
here,
Nobody
right?
is
you're.
Now,
saying that.
no,
You,
you
not
just
only
did,
are
and
you
you just
fighting.
presented that in this conversation. That's exactly what you just presented.
Not
You
I've
only are you
never
presented
once
fighting
said
that
women don't
no,
do
ghosts.
no.
anything wrong.
Okay,
Not only are
that's
you
my
fighting
point.
ghosts.
What you're saying is that I'm peddling quote unquote resentment, right? I keep asking you
They believe
where,
to
Yes,
and
clarify
then when you
to
give me an
clarify
you are.
to
example,
clarify.
Yes.
Wait,
it's
because
not
I
an
think I
example
want
of
to
Hold on,
understand
resentment.
because I
hold on.
think I
What
understand.
is your clarification? And then I gotta let Parallax and Maeve respond to your questions,
Gotcha.
sir.
Right?
You made some
So
accusations
the
and you asked a question.
clarification.
Hold on, like, okay, finish and then cohort and then uninterrupted.
Mhm,
Maeve and Parallax, go ahead.
mhm.
Gotcha.
So the reason why is when you bring up the example, I clarify it to show you that it's not an example of resentment or being upset. It's an example of looking towards the character of someone and picking the best attributes out of that by looking at the negative and looking at the positive, which was in said video you just mentioned, right? So you mentioned these videos that get created, but you're not talking about the main idea or the full scope of them. That's why they're not good examples. That's why I have to dispute it. What I'm saying is I'm doing the opposite of what you're
Okay.
projecting me to be doing.
Cohort, give your clarification, and then I want Maeve and Parallax to respond to his specific accusation there about you were straw manning him. Go
Yeah,
ahead, clarify.
I think there's a bit of talking past each other because I can understand where the umbrage is being taken. So first off, so I think it's because of the volume of videos that Zeus has where he's outlining again, the social commentary thing, outlining a problem with the current event as it relates to dating, or some aspect of dating as it relates to women, right? Or whatever, right? You're looking through all of that and you're saying, well, you just seem bitter and angry, and you're spending a lot of time criticizing, maybe in your opinion, even attacking, maybe you wouldn't even use the word criticism, women. And maybe it seems personal to you from your perspective, Maeve or Parallax. Maybe it seems personal, and it's like, what's going on here? What positivity are you bringing other than just attacking and whatever, right? That's the perspective that I'm getting from the way you're describing his content. I think that's where most of the problem is, because Xerxes is, and I would argue as well, Xerxes would say he's doing the opposite. I don't think that his channel stands as a testament to the hatred of women, or believing they're not useful, or resenting them, or anything like that. I can understand if there's a disagreement of like, well, I think you're overblowing the problem. I think only 20% of women operate this way, and you're implying that it's 80 or 90 or whatever. That's something that we can definitely have a conversation about. But I think describing his content overall as a place where just resentment is bred, I think is unfair. I think particularly what he tries to highlight is this idea that both men and women are capable of meeting each other in the middle, and providing the necessary level of integrity and virtue to look after each other emotionally and physically. And unfortunately, it appears for a lot of modern women who are being influenced by, I would say, feminism and similar ideas, there's less of an idea of cooperating in that way, right? Because apparently for some of them, autonomy means not being any, like, strictly avoiding being any kind of
Accountability? Avoiding accountability?
I was also going to say, like you should never be submissive ever, right? Like you actually want to go out of your way to not submit. It's not even just about a 50-50 submit. It's more like, I'm independent now. I don't need, kind of like the whole statement, I don't need a man, right? I don't need you. You can be here. You can take your spot. I don't need you, and you're disposable, right? And I think a lot of times through his content, he tries to outline that affects the way men are treated by these young women, and that's usually what he's attacking. But it's not overall like resentment. Sorry.
Then I want to just to keep this on track before we go off any tracks. I want to make sure that Maeve and then Parallax has a chance to respond to that accusation specifically. That again, they are taking umbrage that you are painting them as breeders of resentment. How would you respond?
Well, I mean,
he
I
said
think
me
in a
first,
weird
yeah.
way, it's a little unfair. Oh yeah, sorry. I think it's a little unfair because there's only one guy on here who makes videos that can be considered red pill, and then I don't know your videos, and now you have to defend him. And now it's like he's just an example of a wider conversation that we're talking about the Manosphere. This isn't a hating Xerxes discussion, but you are representing the
to
other
be
side, and you
fair,
have made
though-
videos, so that's why we are countering.
But you do
your-
hate me. You did watch my videos, and Parallax
I
has been
watch your
extremely
videos. I
snide this
don't
whole
hate
time.
you, but
No,
I
you do have
absolutely-
friction with me.
Hold on,
so-
hold on. I told
Oh, of
I told
course,
her,
yeah.
Xerxes, come on, we gotta let them go uninterrupted. They let you go uninterrupted. But to be clear,
Uninterrupted.
Maeve, you
Like-
did point him out specifically, Xerxes out specifically, as his videos being hotbeds of resentment.
Yeah, because when you're in a debate with people, all you can really debate is themselves. And they don't want to debate Sneeko either, so there's no one else to debate except them.
Okay.
So we're stuck here.
Yeah, that's
okay.
that's
I
fair.
would
We've
debate
been-
Sneeko, but
we've
we're
been
not
asked to
doing
engage
No,
with
no,
him, and here
we
we are.
could.
Yes.
I wanted to say before, I don't have any problem with you guys bringing them up, because I'm happy to
Well, we didn't.
attack.
You told us not to.
No. I think to be fair, I think Zer said that. I didn't get a chance to hop in because you guys were. Me personally, I'm comfortable talking about any creator in the space, right?
He's not Parallax.
Because
Yes.
like they're involved.
Okay, but
Right.
we gotta let
Well,
Maeve.
I mean, I can
Hold
clear up
on,
my
hold on,
point.
stop. Maeve is trying to get her stuff out. We gotta let her go. Maeve, go ahead.
Yes, yeah. First of all, I really appreciate everything you said about Andrew Tate cohort. I fully agree. All your analysis is completely correct. And if you go back and look at what he said, that is exactly true to why young boys like Andrew Tate. But going back into this conversation, yes, his videos are peddling resentment. So for example, his recent, if you go through his channel, go through the last 6 videos, there's nothing on how to look good, how to get money, or how to be fit, as cohort says the Manosphere is also bad. It's all about femme cells don't exist, women and their body count, women don't care about women, honor and virtue. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm now learning how to resent these women who I'm also apparently trying to date. And I'm really confused about, am I supposed to get angry at them or date them? And he's like, but not all women are like this. But letting you know, guys, these harpies exist in the world. You want a woman who is chaste, who is honorable, who is virtuous. It's like, you pointed out one OnlyFans model and 3 TikToks that are laughable in women. We laugh about this in our like group chats about the women with the long ick counts. That is a meme. You fell for the meme. Okay, this is not how we actually operate in real life. And you are pretending to boys and yet men that, oh my God, look at this as evidence. And it's like, well, great. Now we have these resentful young guys who've only had like one half girlfriend when they were 17, now hating women and now getting really frustrated and angry at us online and everywhere else. It's like, great, they're not happy. We're not happy. No one's happy.
Parallax, uninterrupted. Go ahead.
I would simply like to reiterate that I have not consumed any of Xerxes' content, so I'm not engaging with his content. I'm engaging in his words here. He has said the things that we are engaging with. So I don't really understand how we are somehow misrepresenting him when he claims his words were that his video aims to point out that it's not just the body count, but the underlying like personality dynamics this implies about the person, the underlying issues this person might have. Correct, Xerxes?
Hmm?
Is that correct? Okay, so how do you not see that as peddling resentment? Even if it's not about body count, what you're doing is going, these women have a
Is that
problem.
a question I can answer?
Let me, I'm, when you're fucking up, yeah.
Thank you.
So,
That's all. That's it. That's
for
all.
fuck's sake. Anyways, the whole point is
Don't let me get a direct hit on you.
you are pushing back against a narrative that isn't actually taking place. We are engaging with exactly Xerxes and his exact argumentation, both Maeve through the medium of having consumed his content and me through his own commentary and his rebuttals to what she is saying. He is simply flipping to another side of the coin. So, okay, congratulations. You're providing very new
Perry,
and
you're saying
original.
this to me, right? You're saying like
No,
in
he's saying
opposition
that
to
to
me.
me.
This is kind of to both of you. It's about
Okay, okay.
Xerxes, but to you because you're saying that we don't seem to be engaging with his content in a
That-
genuine
that-
fashion,
that-
and I
that's not-
disagree.
that's-
Hold
And
That's
on,
not
once
what I
hold
once
on.
said.
Parallax
That's
is
not what I
finished,
Hold
you
said.
can
on.
both respond.
Okay, okay.
Finish
Sorry.
I
Parallax.
apologize.
fundamentally disagree with it because he is the one who articulated that this is how he feels in this conversation, and that is the only thing I have to go off of. I have not consumed any of his
Okay.
content. So if he is, hold
Understood.
on. So if he is going to say that his argumentation is that this points out an underlying issue in these women, yeah, you're peddling resentment, and it's not fucking original. It's what every other one of these people is saying. You're not saying anything new.
They
You're
got it
not
from
saying
me.
anything nuanced. You're not. No, they didn't get it from you. They've
Yeah, they got
all
it from
been
me.
saying. Pearl says the same shit. Pearl
Yeah, where do
says
you think
these
you got it
women
from?
have these problems. You're the original.
Where do you think she got it? She got it from you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
To be
No.
clear,
Okay, so
Pearl
we do
has.
have the Manosphere
Hold
ground
on.
zero over here.
Pearl
Okay,
will
got the red
absorb
pill.
anything
So
and
I'm being
everything from
funny.
everyone. I've talked
But,
to Pearl before,
Okay.
but
No,
go
you're
ahead.
not being
Yeah,
funny.
no,
You think
I'm
you are.
being
You
funny,
walked.
right?
Okay.
And so it's what I'm saying. No, but I have influence, and a couple of people have come back, backstage and talking about it. I have influenced a great many few people
You
who
and
are in the
you didn't
manosphere, right?
dissuade Pearl from anything that. Okay.
Well, I
Well,
never
hold
Had
on.
your
directly
shot.
spoke to Pearl, but I
Let
would
You
him
have,
had a
it'd be
clear
interesting.
shot.
let him
Uh,
let him
At changing her
answer.
mind.
Hold on. You don't have to like. They let you go mostly. I'm gonna
Ye-
have to let them go. Xerxes and then cohort. Go ahead.
So the thing that I think is interesting, actually, which we'll put a pin in this, but I'll leave it in the air. I don't really. You're gonna have to really point to what is the grand problem with Pearl that isn't her pointing out the experiences or the issues that men are having trying to date young women, right? In fact, even let's not even go with Pearl. Let's just go with you actually said, Maeve, that you're fine with the space to discuss these negative experiences or these problems or this problem of trying to date women. So what you're really saying is, if we can move forward, is you don't like the resentment, you don't like the negativity that's in the
Yes.
space,
I've
right? So
been
the thing that I
saying
have
that
to
since the
challenge, right?
beginning.
So this is why I have to challenge this, unfortunately. The unfortunate truth is women do crappy things to young men. They just do. And
So
if there is no hold on now, if there is resentment built, we can work through trying to
our
unpack
fault.
and fix that resentment. Now here's the thing: you say it's our fault facetiously, but if the source is a young woman doing something poor to a young man and he internalizes it and he doesn't know what to do with that, he's trying to figure it out, he needs to go talk to someone
So
some
it's
way or see
my
some opposite
fault your
experiences. So Maeve,
ex-girlfriend was cruel to you, so
so
you get to
Maeve,
make
Maeve,
videos about how
no,
women are
Maeve,
shitty.
Maeve, here's the thing, Maeve. I'm be honest with you. If it don't apply, let it fly. If you don't have a high body count, I don't know. Why are you hollering like a hit dog? I don't understand that, right?
2
Bring
million
it
We're not
in.
people.
talking
2
about
If
body
there's
million.
an
count.
issue,
We're
hold on.
talking
If
about how
there's
5
you
an
got
million.
hurt when
issue,
you were
that's true.
14, buddy.
So here's the issue. So he wants to mock me, which I find very interesting, right? If it is the case that these young men, maybe me included,
Yeah.
got hurt at 14, why would you not want to help and try to understand these young men and get them out of the
Dude,
resentment you say I'm peddling?
we do want to help them. You're not.
Okay. So you say that I'm the one that's peddling the resentment, right? But you're the one that's
Yes,
fixing
we've
it
been
by
saying
not
that.
Yes.
addressing the issues and pain that they're having.
I am addressing the issue.
I
I
bring
do
up
this
the
as
fact
a
that they have the
living.
pain.
I
No, but
unravel
listen.
what
But
you
here's the thing,
say
Maeve. So
as
here's
a
what's funny,
living.
Maeve. So Maeve, check this out. If you did it as a living, you could have just did it with me in this conversation right now. If I'm the one with the resentment, if
I'm
I'm the one
pointing
that's
out
hurt, you could
how
ask
you're
me
wrong.
questions to help me get out of my resentment. So why didn't you?
You already told us about your ex-girlfriend. Now I understand you
I
went through
I
pain.
actually
That's
didn't. I
horrible.
actually didn't.
Yeah.
He said that. I didn't say anything.
You said you had a
What I
girlfriend when you
highlighted
were
was I had a
14. She was
I didn't say I
16.
had a girl. I didn't say that. I said I tried to date someone.
I
That's what I
might
Yeah,
be
said.
being
to be
delusional.
clear, just to
Oh my
clarify,
God, the
he
verbiage.
That is what I
tried
said.
to, he approached a woman, and
It's a
look,
lot worse for
hold
him than
on,
we thought.
hold on.
hmm
No, just to back Xerxes up just a smidge here, right? We can all, I think all of us here, Maeve, me, cohort, Xerxes, even you, Parallax, can recognize times when we were younger that someone of the opposite
Absolutely.
sex hurt us. That's
Yeah, absolutely.
fine to be upset about. It's
But we're
fine.
well
Of
emotionally
course.
adjusted and didn't pin it on the
but
rest
look,
of that
Yes.
gender.
but here's what's interesting though, right, Wick? And this is for the audience too. I love this. It's very interesting because you see, for as much as they say that they're trying to help men, they didn't even attempt to try to help me. Let's say I am hurt.
Why are
Why
we
won't
so?
you try to
This is
help
a
me?
debate. This isn't a
You're
help
this is a
session.
debate and you're a grown man. I
No.
think.
Okay, so because I'm a grown man, this is a debate. Now we don't try to help. Now we just mock me because
And we're
that's
I'd
what
like
you
supposed
to.
to help
elected to
you in
do.
the
I'd like to
You
turn you.
debate.
I'd
didn't.
like to
No,
turn
no,
you
no,
if I
no,
can
no, no.
turn you.
Hold on. No, I gotta
Bro,
make an
grab that
example of this.
victim card
And it's
so
extremely
quickly.
important.
Help me, help
Exactly. Look
me.
at what he's doing. And this is my point. And I want to highlight this point, right? They're talking about how the manosphere is the one that's baking up resentment, right? But they're not taking account into the mockery and the disregard and the disdain for these young men who've had these negative experiences.
No,
If a young
don't
man is
blanket it.
saying,
It's
hold on,
this is disdain and mockery of you.
so you want to, okay, so I'm one of those young men. That's the thing.
No,
Okay.
just
So,
you
I'm
though.
one of
Let's be
those
clear. I'm
young men. So
targeting you.
that's what I'm saying, though, right? If
okay.
But I'm
you're
targeting
targeting
you.
Okay.
me,
Look,
you're
look.
targeting me as one of those young men who's peddling resentment. And instead of
Okay.
Nope.
trying to
Look.
I'm just
flip me, hold
targeting
on.
you as
No,
the shithead you are.
exactly. The shithead I am. Again, notice the
Okay.
audience.
Wait.
That's how he wants to interact with me. Rather than try to flip me out of my resentment or my disdain or my misogyny of women, he says, no, you've been hurt. That's your
Okay, I
problem.
do
No,
want
there's
to
something wrong with you.
Hold on.
Yes.
$2 from B Man Scout to say give boys men and men therapy, not dating coaches. Thank you for the $2. I do want to get cohort in on here a little
But
bit.
let me wrap up. Let me
Wrap
wrap
up
up, right? Because this
quickly.
is I'm sorry,
Quickly.
Wake, but this is why the manosphere is important. Because when a man
To be fair,
expresses that there was some pain or there was something that happened to him, he is met with what? Mockery and derision by the opposite
to be
because they don't
fair,
want to listen to
to be
it.
Maeve's
fair,
not going to
And
endorse what you
that's
just
what
said. To be
happened.
clear.
wait. To be fair, you mentioned one potential incident you had when you were a teenager. You did not mention that you were hurt. For all I know, you're the most fine person in the world, making a quick buck out of the manosphere. I don't know your history. So it's not fair for you to say, look at how they didn't help me when we didn't even know that you
But
could
look at
be
how
in
you
pain.
mock. But
Now,
you
if
did
you
Also
mock
had,
me,
not
Maeve.
just
if
Hold on,
if
let
you had
Maeve
come
finish.
Well,
Let
from
Maeve
a
Maeve, you
finish.
did
different
mock me.
situation,
Stop,
it would have been
Xerxes,
different.
stop. Let Maeve finish. Finish, Maeve. Go ahead, Maeve.
If you had come from a more vulnerable situation where you said something had happened to me, and you should watch our show from last week where there was a guy, an incel on it, who talked about it at length, an issue that happened to him. And there was an empathetic conversation around that because he brought it up. You didn't. And now you're pretending that you did. I have no problem seeing you as a human being. I have no problem talking to Richard Spencer as a human being. I have no problem talking to Donald Trump. But I do have a problem with people who don't have accountability or responsibility over the content they put out on the internet that gets traction. And in this, we're talking about the manosphere, which is the conversation we're having it, and you're on the other side. That's what the debate is.
Yeah, it's a debate. I'm not your fucking therapist. If you want therapy, come see me.
But
on
I
another
don't,
night.
I see you. I think you're actually a cool, I know you like anime. I know you like Lord of the Rings. You have a sword in your background. I love Lord of the Rings. I have no problem seeing you as a person who is aside from the content you make, but you can't flip this as they didn't care about me when you didn't give enough about yourself as a human being. And we are talking about the conversation topic, which is what we were here for. But I
No,
am
but
absolutely
the
empathetic
reason
towards
why I
all men
highlighted
who have
this,
issues like this and all people.
and I greatly appreciate it. The reason why I wanted to highlight this is because as I was making my points, I was indeed met with mockery and derision. Right? There was no attempt to try to humanize me and try to understand my perspective or how I relate to this stuff or how I came here. In fact, what was projected onto me was a negative experience with a woman, and what was projected onto me
No,
was
you
this
gave that up
resentment that
to
I
us.
feel, right? So, as you see, so he's saying that I'm the one who
Yeah,
gave that out. Here's the
can I
thing,
hop in?
and
Can I hop in?
I'm gonna pass it. I'm gonna pass it, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
end off with this. The entire conversation, right? I actually haven't said anything disparaging about women. I asked a simple question: can women do something negative to young men? That's all I asked. That's all you've
Yes,
gotten from me.
we
It's
said
been answered
yes.
3
Okay.
times, my dude.
Okay, $5 from B-Man Scout. Women have been able to work around overt misogyny and judgment from men and become more independent of male validation. Why can't men do the same? Thank you for the $5. And I want to pass it to Cohort.
May I
He's been
real
trying
quick,
to get
like,
in.
I just want to
That's
put a pin
actually
in something.
a really dope question. So I kind of want to engage with that. Maybe we'll engage with it later because I think you usually let us engage with those kind of
Yeah, you
things
can
later,
engage
right?
with that at any point,
Uh,
but
uh,
to
okay.
the conversation that's
Um,
happening now first.
yeah, absolutely. So, I think the I understand the point that this is making. I don't completely disagree with it, but because of the nature of this relationship we have right now, which is obviously a bit adversarial, I'm not gonna. I don't think it'd be fair for me to be like, well, why'd you take that tact? Why didn't you try to help? Because there's a particular thing we're doing right
There's a
now, right?
fundamental misunderstanding of my
We're
point, though.
well, no,
Right?
no, 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 no. I understand what you're
Yeah,
saying, but I
everyone
also think
fundamentally misunderstood
I
my
think
point. Then, if they think
All of us, not
I
you,
don't think
man.
I
You're right.
completely misunderstand. Let me finish because I don't
so,
think I
go ahead
completely
and finish.
misunderstood it.
Mhm.
The idea that in the face of someone who you believe has been hurt, right? That classic "who hurt you" thing. If you encounter someone who has been hurt, and your response is to be like, you're goofy. I was gonna say you're a goofy person who has onboarded all of this hate, all of this anger because of their bias from their negative experiences. Your beliefs aren't based on anything empirical, right? That's how you go about it, right? That's obviously problematic in some ways, right? If you encounter someone who probably needs some tender love and care and you give them the opposite because you're focused on getting a win. But we are in a particular setting here, right? I don't have any reason to believe at this point that you in particular, Maeve, that you would in real life, if you encountered somebody who has been hurt, so to speak, that you would give them that kind of energy of like disregarding them and being like, hey, fix your shit, find a therapist, right? I think you'd obviously be different, right? Just based on what I've heard so far. And you know what? I think even you, Parallax, I don't think you would be like, not my problem, fuck you. Like I think
No, not in
yeah,
a like a
yeah,
conversational manner. No.
yeah. I think what's happening here is we're in a particular dance right now, and that is coloring the way we interact. But I do agree with the idea because this is something that happens a lot, and there, he pointed this out. Is like you identify somebody who you think has been hurt, right? And I would argue because they're a man in particular, and the way we treat men, and the way we have this like fuck around and find out attitude when it comes to them, when you identify that, your first instinct is to be like, you pathetic weasel. You only believe that because you've been hurt, which has never been the energy we've given women.
There is
Right?
a
We're
reason.
very patient.
Yeah, there is a
We just
reason.
call them whores.
If I may interject here. Yeah, no, we have specific insults for women. That's true.
Yeah.
You have
That's true.
compliments too, like
But-
Maeve, but Maeve
Yes, but
doesn't
we
like
have.
I don't think that's a one-to-one mapping to what I
But
brought up though.
we do have. We don't call women whores usually when they
Mhm.
come with some hurt in them.
Right.
What we
Right.
do with men when they come with some hurt in them, and I'm not talking here. I'm talking in general, and this is something I've observed on social media and in real life both. That if a man comes and is vulnerable, man, I just lost my job. My wife left me. She's going to take the kids. I don't know if I can do it right now. And I haven't had a date in 5 years or something. There are a certain type of person who are much more likely to say, "Oh, you're just a fucking incel. Go away from me. Get your shit together. Maybe you should try being a better husband." That is much more likely to be given to a man who is suffering than a woman who exhibits the same thing. Now, again, there are people who absolutely go to women's accounts and just mock them relentlessly for any failing. Okay, that happens. I understand, but it's much more socially acceptable to do it to men. Do you disagree, Maeve?
I don't have any like evidence I can say yes or no to that. Like I honestly can't, because every time I think of a yes, I think of an issue. Like I know so many girls who've dated guys who are real in the down and out. You know, I've spoken to guys who or girls who dated guys who were basically homeless,
Sure,
who
but I'm
like
talking about
lived with
like
them
not
for a few months.
friends,
But
not
at
your
the same
family.
time,
Yeah.
I've also heard of men not being able to access the right support and then being suicidal in their 40s when these things happen. So I don't know what the issue is, if it's societal or familial. But I do know, as I said last week, men, yeah, they are harder to speak about their feelings and they're more secretive. And when they do, their bros don't really know how to handle it. And the girls around them are either their mother or their girlfriend who left them. And they very rarely have a girl best mate. And maybe that's a problem too. So maybe there's a whole thing there. I can't. Yeah,
That's
that's
fair.
my
I'm not asking
cop-out
you to
answer. I'm
solve
sorry.
these things, right? Like, if you
Oh
can,
yeah.
great.
I actually,
Please
it's
do.
so funny. It's so funny. Cohort was like, I love listening, or when women listen, they just give me so much space to talk. And I'm like, God, I'm the worst woman. Every time a person talks to me, I'm like, how do we solve this problem? Every time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
No, I get it,
Anyway, yeah, I'll pass it to
I
Parallax.
guess what I'm but just to kind of clarify, right? One of the sympathies I have with the manosphere is this idea, and I think it is just true, that men are held
Yeah.
to a different standard than women in a lot of ways. Sometimes that benefits men, but a lot of times it doesn't.
Yeah.
There are a lot of benefits that men get from that, but there are a lot of cons that come with that too. And I think that we got to acknowledge both if we're going to get forward. And one of the problems that I have, not just in this conversation, but in all conversations that I'm having, is that just people just won't be honest about the world, right? Because they have their ideology, they have their goal, their mission, and they will ignore, overlook, sweep forward, not really address something because it gets in the way of their mission, even though it's true.
Yeah.
And I try not to do that, and I try to just give grace to all the sides. I'm not perfect at it. I know you guys are getting those clips.
I had one other smaller point before we
we
move
never
on.
did the final conversation part that Wick wanted to do, was like, does the left have
I know
better
we are
sponsor?
moving to the end of the conversation though. We
I
got
know, but I'm just saying that never happened.
that
but,
has to happen at some point, right? And we can have another conversation on that another day, because you guys, I hope,
that'd be good.
have enjoyed being on my show. But we do have to end. I do want to respect everyone's time, so we want to get to closing statements, closing thoughts, and tell people where they can find you. But first, before we do that, gang, I have a great announcement to make, okay? Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, on my show, the Juliet Mitchell will be coming on to talk politics with me. And you're like, who's that? Google her, gang. Find her on Instagram. 3 million followers, okay? 1.8 million on TikTok, not TikTok, Twitter. She's going to be coming and talking about all things political with me, about the upcoming election, the issues that are important to her, why she believes what she believes. It should be a good time. I'm very excited to have her on, and we are going to be a little stricter with moderation while she's on, right? But we're definitely here to have a conversation. It should be fun. Check that out tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Then Thursday, we are going to be doing live debate coverage. Now, we can't watch that on YouTube or Twitch. So that's going to be on Kick, and then we're going to have an after show on all platforms once the presidential debate ends. So tune in for all those things. And then finally, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, we are going to have Doobie on, we're going to have Izzy on, we're going to have the Gelatinous Rube and a few others, Sociological Ali, to talk about the Crit Awards at Gen Con, who recently got kicked out because they refused to let Zionists, quote unquote, become nominees. And was it right for them to get kicked out? Is that being inclusive, exclusive? What is this? We're going to talk about it. Should be great. But I want to pass the torch to Cohort, and we're going to end with Xerxes. But give us your socials, give us where we can find you, and closing thoughts. thank you again for being here. And I hope as they give you their socials and things, give them a follow, give them some love. They've taken time out of their day to come on my show. Show them appreciation, gang. Really appreciate it. Cohort, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously we went in a lot of different directions. The Manosphere is not a perfect place. Some of the larger figures within it are very problematic. I would agree on that. I think some of them came in as grifters, so they never had any intention of helping anyone, which is a very important point. And the other ones that did come in with the intention to help, maybe at the beginning, which I think Sneeko is included in that, he was doing some positive things. As the money started rolling in and he got into, funny enough, I think he got radicalized by some of the people he started hanging out with. He started going in different directions, and he really made the Manosphere is not even his home anymore. He's in like a whole other place. So I think what we've outlined today, I think where this conversation went, that I agree, or I'm very happy about, is we've identified that within the Manosphere there are useful things, right? There's a space to grow, to analyze how one might reach, again, like self-actualization, some of the things that they value, et cetera. But the main thing is that we would want to avoid is the radicalization. Are these figures that prop themselves up as mentors when really they're only there to get attention? And in the pursuit of getting attention, they give out ideas that are not full-fledged, or at least are at base maybe harmful, right? I think what I would leave with is I don't think that's the majority of the Manosphere. The creators, the people that, the audience for this content, I don't think they're there for that. I don't think they're looking for content that just attacks women just purely for the sport of attacking women. I think they are looking for solutions. I think there are a lot of typically men in the space that are trying to provide solutions. But unfortunately, what's risen to the top are those more problematic creators. And for the record, I don't like them myself. But I do respect the Manosphere as a whole and value it. You can find me at Cohort is Dead, by the way, on Twitter. And thank you for having me, Wick.
No, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you, gang. He is probably one of the best voices for the Manosphere that I think I've heard. And that's why I invited him on. I really enjoy hearing his perspective. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think it's a conversation that's worth having. Maeve, go ahead.
Yeah, my closing thoughts are like similar to what I was saying. I think there's a lot of resentment in what we know of the Manosphere. I think we understand the Manosphere as having a lot of misogyny. That doesn't mean all of the Manosphere does have it. And after listening to this conversation, I'm more open to a reform in the Manosphere and this idea of changing it as opposed to just creating a different type of space. Because I do think boys and men need to be able to have talks and stuff. But I think on the whole, a lot of it is peddling resentment, peddling misogyny. And if you're feeling worse after watching videos and not better and more angry, maybe that's a key as to what the content you're watching is, regardless of where it is. But yeah, reform in the Manosphere, maybe that could happen. That'd be kind of cool, and it sounds good.
Well, where can people find you, Maeve?
Oh, yeah, I have a Twitter if you want. It's PMaeve. Maeve is spelled MEADHBH.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have her link in the YouTube not the description. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. Maeve, I really appreciate you. I think you bring some expertise to this discussion. You have a lot of experience with this, and you are able to eloquently speak your mind on this. So I do appreciate you, and I hope you'll come back again. Thank you. Check her out, gang. Give her a follow.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Parallax, go ahead.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off the last thing she said, I really do think that there are, some opportunities for the Manosphere to do good. I did highlight that I think it is both a symptom and a problem. It is a symptom of a pre-existing problem. There are young men seeking answers out here. And Cohort, for what it's worth, I think that if more of those young men were engaging with at least the way you articulate the things you seem to feel, because you claim you and Xerxes agree on a lot of things, the way you articulate them makes them sound very different. So I think that it would probably be good if that reform were led by guys who articulate themselves the way you do. I wish you were more, again, as I said in the beginning, a more standard example of the Manosphere. And I think that, as a broader just kind of commentary on society, it's got a lot to do with the dissolution of community. There aren't a lot of places where men can gather with other men. In general, community has the fall of religion, the fall of public gathering places, things like that have led to the dissolution of community. And these are natural byproducts of that we're going to seek answers and seek ways to communicate and form new communities. So I hope they form around dudes like Cohort and not dudes like Xerxes and Dr. Disrespect. Have a good night.
No, Parallax, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/parallax, Twitter.com/parallax. Your mom's contacts, it's parallax.
Got you. Thank you for being here, Parallax. I do appreciate the passion that you bring, and you're able to eloquently give your points, and I really hope that you'll come back. Thank you again for being here, and everyone should go give him a follow, too. Last, certainly not least, Xerxes.
So I'm gonna open this closing statement with an experience that really said something to me. I was on Destiny server. We're having a similar conversation about the Manosphere and the Red Pill, and one of the guys, I don't remember his name, he made a point and he said, if everyone who is afraid of the negativity or the bad moniker of the Red Pill leaves it, then the only people left are those bad people. So there does need to be someone that exists in this space that does try to be positive. Otherwise, the whole thing is negative. And that really resonated with me. That really stuck with me. And that's why I continue to keep the moniker of Red Pill and why I praise the Manosphere, right? Because one thing we didn't get into today is a lot of the opinions that I came to and had were, ironically enough, not influenced outside of the Manosphere, but due to my relationships with young women. And that's something we didn't really get into, apart from mockery. And again, I want to highlight that. I think a lot of people misunderstood my point. It's true that we're in the middle of a debate, but that is no excuse to disdain and mock anybody's pain in the middle of it. It's no excuse to allow that to be your response or your argument to something that happened to them. The interesting thing is, I didn't even bring this stuff up as a point of pain, but Parallax, as a great example, smelled blood in the water and he latched onto it. That is a small microdose of why the Manosphere is so important. Because young men do need to be able to talk and discuss this pain, this frustration that they're having when trying to have relationships and date women. Maeve makes a great point. Is there a lot of resentment and misogyny in the Manosphere? 100% absolutely. I can't even disagree with that. But this is the space where we can voice that and talk about it. And instead of having just mockery and disdain and being disregarded, we can actually say, hold on, brother, wait a minute. Let's not go down there. In fact, interestingly enough, the video on body count was one of my videos making that attempt to say, wait, hold on, brother, don't go down there. There's a little bit more going on than just body count. And I'm glad she used that as an example because it's a great example of that. And I encourage maybe anyone else to go rewatch that video and see that, again, it is not simply just be upset with women. It's to stop, think critically about what's being said, and come to better conclusions and better reasons why you want to even avoid these relationships or why you might even want to engage, because you could also come out of that from watching my video, even saying maybe a high body count isn't the problem. Maybe it's the smoke. Maybe a woman can move beyond whatever led that to begin with. That was the hope and positivity at the end of the video that was found. The reason why I say this is because without actually engaging with what I am saying, and you just look at the surface, you choose, which is what we saw, to be upset with me and upset with these ideas that they didn't really chew on and wrestle with. They really highlight exactly why the Manosphere is important and the positive space that allows us young men to come, say how we feel, and have it challenged, maybe have it validated sometimes, and move the conversation forward to figure out how we can be men and have better relations. And with that,
Where can people find you?
you can find me at BassFZZ, BASSFZZ, on Twitter and on YouTube. I'm also on Twitch, but they just follow it. I don't really go on there yet. Maybe I'll come back to it. But those are the 3 spots I'm at.
Okay. Check him out, gang. Xerxes, I really appreciate your perspective here. You have been in the trenches making the content. I do appreciate your perspective. I don't always agree. I don't always agree with what you say. In fact, sometimes I very much disagree. But I appreciate your willingness to come in, have this discussion. I really do value people who are willing to be challenged and live, right, in a debate, and to give their opinion and stick to their guns. So I really do appreciate you. And gang, I hope, love him or hate him, you check him out. Thank you again. Gang, remember, if you like this content, if you want to see more, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you're following me on Twitch or on Kick, hit that follow button. Give me subs. Give me money. Money, 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 money. And I can do more stuff. Remember, tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, the Juliet Mitchell. It's going to be fun. You're going to be great. Wow, it's going to be a show. For now, though, we're going to raid out. Let's raid out into... Oh, there he went. Let's raid... I know. You guys need to go. Let's raid out to Nina.
Wick, thank you for having me.
Bye.
It
Of
was
course.
nice to
Wave
have the
bye-bye,
conversation,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Maeve, very
See you
nice to meet
later.
you.
Bye. Bye. Okay,
All right,
and
you
we
guys.
are gone in 3, 2, 1.
Have a good night,
Okay, we're
gentlemen.
done.
Good night, brother.